Can you imagine living your life surrounded by riches and power, but still feeling like something's missing? What would it take to heal a heart broken by time, loss, and loneliness? The sound of a door opening breaks the stillness. A young woman enters the room, her smile radiant as she walks toward the older man. The mansion's grand walls, adorned with gold and marble, tell the story of a life lived at the top. But inside, there's a quiet loneliness that no one sees. Sheikh Khalid Al-Mansour. At 70 years old, he's built an empire from the ground up, a self-made billionaire who commands respect from leaders around the world. Yet, despite his success, he carries the weight of a broken heart. Once, he had everything: a thriving family, a young wife, children that filled the halls with laughter. But after a tragic accident that left him paralyzed from the waist down, everything changed. The isolation set in. His wife left. The world turned cold. Khalid has spent the past 5 years confined to his wheelchair, his body unable to keep up with his dreams, and his mind too heavy with regret and sorrow. Narrator, slowly, with emotion. But even in the darkest of times there's a glimmer of hope. Sometimes, that hope arrives in the most unexpected form. It was a day like any other when Khalid's world shifted. He was sitting in his study, sifting through business reports, when his personal assistant, Ali, entered with a surprising announcement. Ali, sir, there's someone here to see you. A young woman. She insists on meeting you. Khalid, grumbling. Annoyed. A woman? What can she possibly want from me? But the moment the door opened, the room seemed to brighten. In walked Layla, a 25-year-old woman with soft, radiant skin, her jet black hair framing her face perfectly. But it wasn't her beauty that struck Khalid. It was the light in her eyes, a warmth that reached past his walls and directly to his soul. Layla, smiling gently. Good afternoon, Sheikh Khalid. I know you don't know me, but I've heard so much about you, and I wanted to thank you personally. Khalid, looking at her confused. Thank me? For what? Layla, for the kindness you've shown to the children in my community. You've helped build schools and hospitals where they needed it most. I wanted to give you something in return. Khalid was speechless. A simple act of kindness from a stranger? It took him off guard. His heart, which had been closed off for so long, cracked open just a little. Days turned into weeks, and Layla returned to visit Khalid often. She didn't come for business, nor to ask for favors. She came because she genuinely cared. Their conversations were simple but profound. She would bring in stories of the children she worked with, and they would talk about everything from literature to dreams of a better future. It wasn't long before Khalid started looking forward to her visits. Her kindness, her selflessness, began to heal parts of him that he thought were long gone. She brought a joy into his life that no amount of wealth could buy. One afternoon, as they sat together in the garden, Layla spoke of her own struggles. She had grown up in a neighborhood where hope was scarce, where poverty seemed to dictate every future. But in the face of it all, Layla had made it her mission to help others, even when she had so little herself. Layla, when I was younger, I never thought I'd be able to make a difference. But then I realized kindness doesn't need to be grand. It just needs to be real. Her words struck Khalid deeply. He hadn't realized how much he had been giving to others out of obligation rather than genuine compassion. He had been too caught up in the power his wealth brought him, forgetting the power of simple human connection. One day, as they walked through the mansion's sprawling garden, a loud crash echoed from the pool area. Layla had tripped over a rock, falling into the pool, her body submerged. Khalid's heart raced as he wheeled his chair toward the edge of the pool. Despite his own limitations, he felt a rush of adrenaline. Khalid, shouting, "Layla, no!" Without thinking, he maneuvered his wheelchair down a small ramp to the poolside. A second passed before he made the decision to dive into the cold, unforgiving water. His body, stiff from years of paralysis, resisted. But his heart couldn't wait. He reached Layla just as she struggled to stay afloat. With all the strength he had left, he pulled her to the surface, both of them coughing and gasping for air. Layla, breathless. Why? Why did you dive in? You can't. Khalid, weakly but determined. Because I'm not afraid anymore. In that moment, Khalid understood something profound. True kindness isn't about comfort or convenience. It's about showing up for someone, no matter the cost. As Khalid recovered, still reeling from the poolside incident, Layla sat by his side, holding his hand in a gesture of silent support. Layla, Sheikh Khalid, there's something I need to tell you. Khalid looked up at her, his heart racing with anticipation. Layla, with a gentle smile. I'm not here by accident. I wasn't just sent to you by fate. I'm here because you've touched my life in a way no one else ever has. For the first time in his life, Khalid's wealth and status seemed irrelevant. It was her kindness, her unconditional love, that had truly transformed him. As the months passed, Khalid and Layla's bond deepened. It wasn't just a story of a man in need of healing and a woman showing him the way. It was a beautiful dance of two souls learning to love and trust again. Despite their differences, through small acts of kindness, they built something that could never be bought. Their shared moments, helping those in need, standing up for what's right, giving without expecting anything in return, showed both of them the true meaning of wealth. Climactic scene. The final act of kindness on a warm afternoon. Khalid surprised Layla with a simple gift, a small, delicate necklace. She looked at it, puzzled at first, before he spoke. Khalid, softly. Kindness is the most precious thing I've ever received. And this is for you. Because you've shown me that love and care are worth more than gold. Tears welled up in Layla's eyes as she hugged him, overwhelmed by the kindness of the gesture. It wasn't just a necklace, it was a promise. A promise that even in the hardest moments, kindness would always find a way to heal. Closing scene. The reflection. The camera slowly zooms out, showing the two sitting together in the garden. The sun sets behind them, painting the sky with warm hues of orange and pink. Sometimes we find our greatest strength not in what we have, but in how we give. In a world that often feels divided, kindness can be the bridge that brings us together. Call to action toward the end. Have you experienced an act of kindness that changed your life? Share your story in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more heartwarming stories like this one. Kindness is contagious. Let's spread it together.